So reporting, let it get first out of the way. If any of you ever gets a section retake on reporting, I'm seriously disappointed. It's by far the simplest section, by far, especially for people who have been admins. It might be different for developers. So, by the way, is my camera not working, or do I just not see myself?
I don't see you either.
Ah, okay, let me check. Let me check. Because I'm still in the Google Meet now. Sorry.
Yeah, we could see it for a split of second.
Now it now it's going.
Now you're
Okay.
showing campaign manager.
Your LinkedIn manager.
Yes. I tried like LinkedIn marketing now. It's more difficult. You know, there's no silver bullet. I talked to an expert today, and again, there's no silver bullet. It's really annoying. Okay, back to reporting. Know your reporting considerations. This section you should be having, like, it should be perfect every single time. Again, you know the disclaimer, and you know that you should all hire refugees. I think I don't have to tell any of you. Good news is they get a new batch of refugees now trained freshly in Berlin, highly motivated, highly skilled refugees. So if you ever need Salesforce professionals, which you all need all the time anyway, please reach out to refugeeforce.com. And they also like money. So if you have some of that, also feel free to donate. But even more important, to hire refugees. So some of you might know the good old Jakob saying. The CTA is like a puzzle game. You have a limited number of requirements, you have a limited number of solutions, and you just have to match them somehow together. And this is what I do today. So in the reporting section, we have the things to consider. It's really small, actually. So I go from the top to bottom. Is it on-platform reporting, or is it off-platform or cross-platform? As soon as it's cross-platform, I treat it like off-platform reporting. What is the data volume? Do I need to do any data crunching? Is the audience internal or external? Are the users authenticated or not authenticated? Do I need complex visualization like a map, for example? And do I have a low cardinality? For example, once a year, every 5 years, something like that. And then I have the options, which is only 4 options. This is really good news. Actually, there's a 5th one I talk about later. There's only 4 possible solutions. Standard Salesforce reports, Tableau CRM or Tableau, a Lightning Web component for internal, or a public report via HTML and ESP, also via on the website. And that's it. As maybe I missed something. If I missed something, please let me know.
What about data warehouse?
Data warehouse is not for reporting, it's to store data.
Incumbent technology.
Yeah, but I would say that in normal landscape, if a data warehouse, it comes with the also reporting on top of that. Like,
this falls in the category Tableau CRM, also let's call it BI tool. Okay. For example, Tableau CRM or Tableau.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, good point, a good call out. So any BI tool you feel comfortable, but since we are Salesforce architects for the CTA review board, I wouldn't go down the route of saying I recommend the built-in data warehouse reporting. I just would go either with Tableau CRM or Tableau. Depends on what you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I've just got an idea about, it's very obsolete, but Excel.
Yeah, good call. This was my secret surprise guest. It's not obsolete. It's absolutely a valid solution for certain use cases.
Yeah, because, okay.
And I guess you could use a list view as well.
Ooh, good catch. Yep. Good catch. Unlikely in list view. No, actually not.
But why not? Because you can have list views for example, community users. Well, you cannot have reports, and you can even have like a little chart if you want.
Let's ask us. This is another session I have at some point. How to decide if an option is correct or not. The first question is it a hacky solution? List view? Yes, list view is a hacky solution.
In what way? It's standard, right? It's a standard solution.
Yes, but list views does not show me the volume, as the number. It does not come with any graphical interface. It is not meant to do reporting. We are not building hacky solutions. I don't. you know, I don't say maybe in your reality you do hacky solutions sometimes, but for the CTA we don't do hacky solutions.
So I had a requirement. Customer wants to see a list or a report of the history of their orders, and I suggested list view. So it's a flat table. That surface, no?
Okay, let's start with the issues. As first of all, it's not the standard recommended. So you can get away with it, but you open yourself up to discussions. Why not go with something else?
Yeah, because it would have license implications then if I want to.
But there's an alternative.
Or LWC, yeah.
LWC.
Okay.
The list view is in the sense of you can't group, you can't properly filter, you can't show the total. It only shows the first 50 entries always instead of the first 2,000 entries. You know, it's a hacky solution from a user point of view. And you use the list view. So you have to tell your customer, let's go back. They want to see a history of all their orders. So you tell the customer, there's this tab where you see all your recent orders. But if you want to see a history of all your orders, it is the same view. You have to explain it to the customer. It's not nice looking. The filtering functionality is pretty limited. You only can have one object on it. You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible technically. Sometimes, if I would be your judge, I would immediately ask you a lot of questions around it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For the public reports, what about Lightning Out and Lightning Web Component?
Lightning Out is in beta. We don't suggest beta, and it's in beta since like 4 years.
Okay.
I don't expect it to ever not be beta. And did anybody actually ever use it?
I have. It's not good. There's
Good.
a lot of limitations, a lot of things break if you didn't build it with Lightning Out in mind.
And
when we say LWC, we're talking about charting capabilities of LWC, right? Okay.
Yeah, using as LWC plus your good point code call plus JavaScript library. You know, a charting library. Okay.
On the list views, you can actually use the Kanban view, which gives you a summary of totals.
It's again a list view. Okay, let's try it with one of the requirements later. Let's see if it works. Okay. Let's stick with now with not using list views. Maybe I'm personally there. I never. Okay. We have the requirement on platform. My first solution is Salesforce Standard Reports. My second solution is Salesforce Lightning Web. So you know I like to have alternatives. My second solution would be a Lightning Web Component report. My third solution would be Tableau CRM or Tableau. For off-platform and cross-platform, it's super simple. It's always Tableau CRM or Tableau, which actually, when you come to the reporting section of the CTA review board, it's super great if you have a cross-platform requirement because this makes it easy. You just say Tableau CRM and you're done. Low data volume, then your Salesforce report, we talked about it. But if you have high data volume, Salesforce reports does not work anymore. Everything above like 2000 or something. But you still can use Lightning Web Component reports. So don't just always go for Tableau CRM or Tableau if you have high data volume. Depends on the situation. Data crunching, the same, Tableau CRM and Tableau as a BI tool or Lightning Web Component report, because you can actually, crunch pretty high numbers, at least 50,000 records using Lightning Web Component. If you have internal audience.
Sorry, can you repeat that number? Sorry. Can you repeat the numbers which you mentioned?
I think you can do 50,000. Is it? This is for the developers. What's the maximum? What's the limit of
50,000? 50,000 if you are not updating.
Exactly. So in the read-only mode. And
I mean, to be honest, you can do it more if you can do the asynchronously and do the kind of magic, etc. The separate transactions, yeah. But then how much you're gonna put in the DOM, etc. How gonna perform? So yeah.
Yeah.
The question was about the standard reporting. What you said was the indication to move from standard to
a couple of thousand records. I mean, it only shows the first 2,000, but if you group or summarize it, you can technically run with 100,000 records as well. I have done that in the past, but the performance degrades pretty fast.
Yeah, I was thinking more about over 1 million, but
Yeah, as it depends a lot. Is it customer facing? Then I would say it's lower because then performance is really, really important.
yeah.
But back to data crunching. I mean, yes, you can query for 50,000 records, but then I guess if you really would do some number crunching also on that data, you would run into CPU limits or something like this.
Absolutely. It's just that this is a solution if in some cases, therefore it's solution number 2.
Okay.
Let's say the customer wants to see an historic report of all their orders grouped by, I don't know, grouped by something.
Okay, so something simple. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that would work. Oh, that could
For
work.
me,
hang on a sec.
the
Hang on a
data
second.
crunching.
Yeah, the data
The
crunching.
data crunching is not just about the volumes, it's also about the complexity of the number of relationships. Like if you need to traverse like multiple lookups and stuff like that, I think you get pretty limited, right, with the standard source reports. If you need to
Yes.
combine like a lot of different objects together.
You can only combine 3 objects together. With
That's
standard Salesforce
actually
reports.
that's actually not
Yes.
true. You can do 60, but only through you have to start with the bottom object and you can go up through lookups in the layouts.
Again, is this a hacker solution? Yes.
I mean, why? It's you using just I mean, and I said you're gonna go 16, yeah, but
60.
that's 60, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, but if you're gonna go 10 or 6, that's fine.
I would highly recommend if you go for the CTA review board, forget about your hacky solutions. Stick with the standard just because you found a way to do it. I know what you mean. I know with the lookups and I also used that in the past, but the performance degradation is really high and you run into issues. We are architects and we are trusted to build solid, scalable solutions. Good. Does this make sense? Or anybody agrees there with my approach?
I agree. Yeah, for a review board, you want to stay with as standard as possible.
And I would also say for your project, personally.
Yeah,
Please
definitely. But I think also for the review board, you have to think about time, right? You really want to use your time wisely. You don't have that much time, so you don't want to spend a lot of your Q&A discussing with the judges on whether or not this hacky solution makes sense.
That too.
That's a good point.
Let's just pay more for Tableau CRM, whatever.
Yeah.
The client got money.
Yeah, and please, if you do this project and you did the hacky solution, don't call me up if it doesn't work then. Because this is actually, these hacky solutions from my experience is what breaks your project plan oftentimes. Because then later on you run into an issue that your hacky solution stops working because of some weird side effect. And then you have a kind of you run over budget. Yeah. But you don't get promoted for hacky solutions.
Depends how much you save in the license cost.
Sorry?
Depends how much you save on the license cost. Then you can get promoted.
Yes, but I would say the risk of having a delayed project is higher than what you usually.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I get your point. I mean, good. Then if you have external audience, we can either do a solution one with a Lightning Web Component report on a public community page. On a community page, sorry, it's external but authenticated. I forgot to add that. When I say audience, it's authenticated. A Lightning Web Component report is actually my first solution because then we save the license cost. But then second solution is Salesforce reports. If we really need to have reports, or if we already use the partner community or customer community plus license, I hardly ever suggest going for customer community plus just because of one report. It's not worth it from a money point of view. And you can use Tableau CRM or Tableau in communities kind of, but it comes with extra licenses and extra security implications. So therefore I have the kind of, it technically works. It's not my preferred solution.
Yeah, so do we need to assign licenses to the external audiences?
Yes, you do. And you can only assign it to Customer Community Plus or Partner. You cannot use Tableau CRM licenses with the community, the lowest one.
Because we're talking about millions of users, right? So that's the reason.
But I don't think it's a paid license. I think As long as you have CC+.
It is, Martin.
It is paid.
It is
No,
paid
but-
and it's quite expensive. One of my colleagues proposed this in a RFP. Yeah, they're not
Personal
gonna do
users.
it. It's really, from what I heard, it's quite expensive.
My understanding was as long as you have CC+, you can then surface Tableau reports for no additional cost.
But this already includes that you have CC+ licenses, while when you use
Yeah.
Lightning Web Component Report, you get away with the CC as a customer community license. I try to stay in a customer community license as much as possible because this avoids a lot of issues with limits. It's better performing. It makes life so much easier. I avoid customer community plus and partner community as much as possible. Then when it's authenticated, yes, we talked about it, Salesforce reports, but when it's unauthenticated, and this is where I come in, it's really, at the Lightning Out, I know everybody talks about it, but it's not a valid solution from my point of view. And so you have only actually public reports via the HTML or ESB or Tableau CRM and Tableau. And a lot of people actually also say, can't we use a public as a public community page? You know what I mean? With a guest user profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in a product, as a yes, for a smaller B2B company, but you have really kind of strict limits around. Also, first of all, you expose your data to a public website, directly your Salesforce data, which is in itself can handle, but it's a security risk. I, as a security architect, would immediately flag that. I would always have something in between if possible. You understand what I mean? So the ESB is another layer of defense. The second point is you have rate limits. You can't have, it doesn't count against your API limits, but you have rate limits and you put a high strain on your database. You're not a good citizen. Let's say you have 200,000 views on your website every day. 200,000 times this report is run against your database. Make it 2 million. Then suddenly you have 2 million requests. And what do you do if you run out of allocation? I can't remember, but there's a certain allocation of website views as a public. What do you do?
Either 500,000 or 1 million, depending on your edition per
It's
month.
not that.
Per month, that's the thing, right? Per month, that's insanely low, I think.
And if you refresh a page, it counts as 2. So it actually is very low. And if you have people clicking around.
Yeah.
So how does it work with the public reports then? Where do they get the data from? Is it residing outside of Salesforce?
From
ESB?
From
Okay.
ESB. And the ESB does some caching.
So if you have the same amount of visitors per day, don't they have to query the data?
You do a cache.
Would Heroku be an option here?
Yes,
to shadow the data and then provide the HTML.
I personally why not just use ESB caching? As far as I know,
if it's static data, like if it's not changing like every minute, if it's just like once per day refresh, then yeah, you can cache it.
Yeah. So coming back to the Heroku, it's technically possible. Absolutely, it just introduces one more element as one more layer you have to take care of, which doesn't serve anything else. What this ESB can't serve actually better. As far as I understood, ESB is never anybody experienced with caching in the ESB.
No, or I don't.
Only for small volumes.
I think it would also depend on is it the report data snapshot that's relevant for all of the audience, or if it's a specific snapshot for individual audience members, you would then potentially have to refresh the data continuously.
Which then Heroku shadowing would make more sense.
Correct, yeah.
Or the amount of data that you'd actually have to cache would be significantly larger in the ESB, which is obviously a big red flag.
Yeah, but if it's just say number of donated laptops today, like within laptops of schools, just go with the HTML and the ESB and cache it there.
But I'm thinking if we already have Tableau CRM in our landscape, which most often we would we not be better off already leveraging that in the public website? I'm not familiar. How do you actually expose Tableau CRM in a public website? But assume
it's not
simple.
It's not built for that. I can't remember if it's, as I know, I checked it today. Tableau can expose on public website, but again, you need another license. And I'm not sure about Tableau CRM. You have to look it up. I always like to go with the simplest solution. Like, what would I suggest to my customer? Would I suggest to my customer to integrate their internal BI tool into a public-facing website, or would I just say, can you please get me a developer who programs a simple, who uses a charting library and calls this API? Like from an overall project point of view. Is this what is your experience there? What is your thoughts there?
I like the ESB approach with the caching. It's also what I use in my scenarios.
I think
Again, it's trade-off. It's not I guess the alternative solutions you should include is the Heroku as for the large values.
Yeah, so this is then plus ESB plus Heroku, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll still say, I mean, we should expose it through ESB. So tomorrow, if you have to change your underlying database, it will be easy job, right? Your website will have no impact.
Sorry?
So, I mean, even though if you're keeping your database in Heroku, you should still go through ESB so that you can de-link these two systems. So tomorrow, if you're changing from Heroku to something else, you can easily do it without impacting overall. I mean, if it's a point-to-point, then you are in big risk.
Yes, absolutely. Good. And the next one is the last one is actually very similar. If you do a complex visualization outside, but also inside, you use either public reports or Lightning Web Component, or you use Tableau CRM or Tableau. Don't just go for Salesforce Maps if you have to display data on a map.
Yeah, I really like that comment because I did a cheat sheet recently on maps, and it's really a cool tool, but it's really not that much for visualization as much as it is to allow your business users to interact with data visualization, but really like let them create their own maps and stuff. That is not what we're talking about here in terms of reporting. If you want to visualize something on a map, Tableau has some features, Tableau CRM, I mean. But indeed, it really depends on how complex it has to go. Because if you want to work with Tableau CRM, you have to think about the fact that they have to really recognize the data that you're working with. It's not smart, right? So if there's like typos, it won't recognize it, different ways of writing it, or different groupings that you may do region-wise. So it's really limited. So I think it's a good solution one, solution two order.
The Google Maps API is really easy to work with too.
Sorry?
The Google Maps API is also really easy to work with in Salesforce.
Yes.
Yeah. The whole component and the Lightning components which you have for the maps, yeah, it's quite straightforward.
Absolutely, it's super straightforward.
Okay, quick question on that one though. Are there any consideration of any we should know about locations limitations, such as China, for instance, or we ignore that fact?
The China question. Also, I can just tell you what I remembered. I don't know if it's any correct. Data residence, as a data residency. My answer to China is, if there is China, I would say I flag China. I flag the business in China as a risk, since there might be some data residency requirements. We have to include the legal department into our project timeline early on to make sure that we do not flag any risks. I assume the only requirement is to have a copy of the data in China. Therefore, we can just mirror the Salesforce data into China. If we have more requirements, we have to work with Salesforce and our legal department. Where I'm coming from is this is something Doina actually told me, that even Russia, the data requirements doesn't mean the data has to always stay in Russia. And China and Russia don't care where the data is. They just want to make sure that they can catch any dissidents. So therefore, they just need to have a copy of the data in Russia and China.
Okay. Good.
So it's not about the data.
That the Google Maps may not work in the China, but yeah.
Would be very careful about this statement. It depends on what kind of data. So I can't speak about Russia, but China financial data, they are not supposed to leave the country.
Yes, but this is why I would say, I wouldn't say the statement. I would just say the first part. It's a risk. I flag it. We have to work with legal.
Perfect answer. Yes.
I would just add, I think there's a difference between residency and sovereignty as well. But that might just complicate matters.
Yeah.
Yes.
We may need a separate session on compliance.
Yeah, sorry for that. Let's move on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question as well regarding the Tableau CRM and Tableau. You have them together, but I think most of the time Tableau CRM would be sufficient enough for the CTA reward, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say it's like, as we have a session on Friday about it in the Cyma group, but a rough idea is Tableau CRM is near operational data. Let's call it this way. And Tableau CRM and Tableau is really if you are a professional BI company.
I think it's like if it's more than 10 billion of records, or then you may need to go to Tableau.
Tableau also gets more flexibility if you are below. So if you know what you do, then Tableau is better. If you don't know what you do, then Tableau CRM is better. This is not my official statement to the customer, but.
No, definitely. One correction: the session of Cyma is tomorrow, Johann. On Thursday.
Yeah. Anybody else? Because my answer is how do you decide between Tableau CRM and Tableau?
For me personally, the way that I decide is Tableau is something that is really used frequently to expose public data in a nice data visualization way to the public. So for example, a lot of nonprofits use it to provide information, let's say about bird migration, all those kinds of fascinating stuff, or large scale economics, maybe even showing flights being, leaving, or those kinds of heat maps. It's really for exposing a lot of data. I think also BBC or the Telegraph are really using it a lot to expose data, to have this data visualization. So it's way more flexible in what you can present and how you can present it. And it's more outside of your business audience. It's a wider audience that usually you want to reach. It's my personal, rule of thumb.
I have also I had heard like it's about where the data, or it's also about where the data and the users live. The more they live in Salesforce, the more it makes sense to go to Tableau CRM. The more the data and users live outside Salesforce, the more Tableau makes sense.
I think definitely the user statement makes a lot of sense. The data, it's true as well, but in essence, I think the way that they both work with data, I think is quite similar. I'm of course not at all an expert, but you have connectors is what I mean, right? So the connectors that you have for Tableau CRM are kind of being mirrored or the other way around. They're trying to align them is the impression that I got.
As far as I know from a year ago, Tableau is a complete different beast in sense of connectors. Tableau CRM is more like flows and Tableau is more like Apex. In the sense of, but
it's two different products, two different approaches. So
yeah, indeed, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
And then also for me, there's two more things. So one is Tableau can be on-premise. Tableau CRM lives in the cloud. So if your data are on-premise, then Tableau makes total sense. And from how this is integrated in Tableau, it's kind of difficult to have something like row-level actions, for instance. In Tableau CRM, that's kind of easy.
Just a couple of notes here to Tableau and Tableau CRM. The BI tool is no data warehouse. So just because you can store data in Tableau CRM, it's not a replacement for your data warehouse. Okay. Before we go, this is actually to wrap it up here, a couple of additional topics. So yes, we have Excel. Don't forget Excel. If your cardinality is really low, just go with Excel. Sometimes it's the best solution. On website, don't forget about the caching. We talked about it either in the ESB or in the Heroku. Make sure you understand, especially on standard census reports, indexing and filtering. Whatever you do, reporting has huge implications on your org strategy, or other way around, org strategy has huge implications on your reporting. Then the data model and report types, don't just say Salesforce out of the box report. I would recommend either say, if it's a standard report type, then say we use the standard report type opportunities with accounts to show that, or we use a custom report type and then you tell the objects. It's not strictly necessary, but I think it shows that you understand the difference. Or at least I like to say that because I'm an admin. Then make sure you know the license requirements for each option, at least for the standard Salesforce options, and definitely know the connectors for each option and know the security for each option. Also in a multi-org environment. This is, I think, would actually the most complex part about reporting. And with that, I have a couple of examples. Now we do a happy group. So first one, design consultants would like to see an ad hoc report that shows the installers in their region who have completed certain training courses. Who wants to go?
I would use Salesforce standard report for this one.
Maybe you do first your decision tree, the one we just used here. So what are the requirements? Is it an on or off platform report?
On.
Okay. Is it authenticated or unauthenticated users?
Authenticated.
What is the data volume?
No. Install, not.
Yeah. Any data crunching needed? What is this kind of object here? Is it a standard object or is it a custom object?
Likely custom.
Likely
I would
custom.
use custom objects.
You would lose?
I would use custom objects. Although
Great.
you can.
Charlie, hey.
Hey.
I didn't know you're here. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm here, of course.
Okay, so yes.
Charlie's a group OG.
Okay, so we start. So it's internal, it's authenticated, it's on platform, low data volume, and it's a Sales Cloud license. I use a custom report type, context with training courses. This would be my sentence: custom report type, context with training courses, and with the justification here. Maybe not everything, but I would say it's an on-platform report and I expect a low data volume and my users already have the Sales Cloud license. Therefore, you use a custom report type with context with training courses. It's maybe a little bit of an overkill, but coming back, we want to make sure we don't have a section retake on reporting. Because next one, who wants to go? This is from laptop to schools.
I can give it a whirl if you want.
Yes.
Okay, so I see trend report, but I also see 5 years, and I know that we have reporting snapshots, but that's not that's not sufficient for this, or that will not yield 5 years. So in this case, I'm thinking, okay, it's likely going to be Tableau CRM because that has this capability, and it is also very easy to set up by business users or admins.
Maybe stay with the strategy first. Is it on or off platform?
On.
Internal or external?
Internal.
Okay. Authenticated, yes, if it's internal. Then data volume, you already said it's likely high. Do we need data crunching?
We need some grouping at least, so.
Kind of, it's on the border, yes. This I would agree there. It's likely already off platform. The data past 5 years is very likely off platform already. Sorry.
Could you have another, so something custom solution like the reporting snapshot? So another custom object, a batch job which does the number crunching, stores this in the custom object, and just build a report on that custom object?
Absolutely, absolutely would be possible. Again, I would go with Lily's strategy. Do I want to waste to explain my judge?
No.
And if I'm unlucky, the judge knows even about the limits on batch API, which I don't, batch Apex. The past 5 years is an indicator that the data is likely not in Salesforce anymore. I forgot about this part.
I know. I agree. Tableau CRM is the better solution. Absolutely.
Absolutely, but I agree with you. I personally, I'm the biggest fan of reporting snapshots. I even wouldn't do it with a batch job. I would just use standard Salesforce reporting snapshots. Okay, next one. This is the last one.
ESB plus HTML report.
Yes. We could even do this. Would it could theoretically we could do it with Tableau. Yeah. So again, Charlie, it's unauthenticated. It's high data volume and it's off platform. No, it's actually on platform. Sorry. So sometimes you have on platform and you still need the other one. Okay.
Is there a distinction between in that table there of the data living on platform versus where the user is viewing the data?
Yes. This is where's the data volume? This is on platform or off platform, and then where's the user? This is internal audience, external audience, or authenticated and unauthenticated. Unauthenticated is basically the user is outside of Salesforce. So outside of community and outside of Salesforce. As soon as the user is authenticated, it's somebody who is within Salesforce. Does this make sense?
And some data has to be in Salesforce to make even sense of the table. Yeah. So the assumption is that there's some data in Salesforce always.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Good. So that's it from my side. Just to be honest about it, if on tomorrow in the reporting it will be the same presentation. So, but there will be a second one.
We also have Ricky Hofgaard.
Yes. Amazing Tableau CRM expert.
Johann,
Okay.
I would have one more question if I may. In case we can use both Tableau CRM and standard reports, and we suggest to use Tableau CRM, would we get a lot of questioning on why we didn't go with standard reports? Because if we already have the licenses and it's easier and more performant perhaps to use Tableau CRM, but standard reports can still deliver that.
What do you mean by
So I don't
give
know,
me an
like
example.
to say, for example, there could be, I don't know, you need to connect opportunities, accounts, and contacts, and you're able to deliver that report using standard reports. But I suggest using Tableau CRM. It can be done as well. It could be perhaps relatively high volume, but maybe on the edge.
But then you just have to add, my assumption is the volume is too high to be performant in Salesforce, then you get up away with Tableau CRM. If you say, because on the edge is a hard.
Yeah.
If it's within the limits and the volume is not bad, I would say the Salesforce standard reports and Tableau CRM is a solution which works, but is suboptimal, but I'm not a judge. You can always distinguish with my assumption is.
Yeah, gotcha. Good.
This is actually a good point. This is a good point, Martin. If you have anything where you're not sure, just add your assumption.
Yeah. Assumption is your friend.
Yes, assumption is your get out of jail free card.
I also want to follow up on using Tableau CRM for external audience. So if you have 2 million or let's say 1 million customer community plus users, so are we supposed to purchase 1 million Tableau CRM for them?
I'm not 100% sure. Lily just said, let's just, I don't know. You have to check yourself because this is information which changes so often. I can't tell you. So maybe somebody researches that afterwards.
I know we have a license, separate license for the external Tableau CRM for external in our org.
Okay.
I have a question. If you've already bought Tableau CRM licenses and you have another requirement that can be met with standard reports, what's the advantage to using standard reports at that point?
It's simpler to build, it's closer to the data. I can build a standard Salesforce report, but I can't build a Tableau CRM report.
And also Tableau CRM still runs on a batch mode. It's not like real time, like every second you have latest data.
Yes, that's a very good point, I
Yeah.
think, because sometimes you see these real-time requirements, and it's important to take into account, indeed, you're working on data sets. One additional, like asterisk
Just
on
can I
this.
add? Yeah, you can work on real-time data in Tableau CRM.
Exactly. That was so you have live query that you can use in your dashboard. So, but you have to think about performance when you propose this one, because of course doing a live query has an impact on the performance. So if it's not absolutely necessary, you're better off going off data sets. So yes, Johan, you're totally right.
Use the simplest solution possible. Which as I used it, this is just my personal decision tree is it a hacky, does it work? Yes or no? Then is it a hacky solution? Yes or no? If not, is it the simplest solution which fulfills my requirements? Yeah.
I have a question on the Tableau CRM. Let's imagine that you're making connection to S3 or any external database. You have a mix of platform plus non-platform as data source. And as per the architect principle, you're not supposed to make direct connection into that particular S3 database. It's protected by a PG layer. What will be your options?
I'm not so sure here. I mean, you can connect Tableau CRM to basically everything you want to connect. So you should be able to connect it to the layer in between instead of directly to S3.
But there is no connector available for a PG. It's not. I mean, MuleSoft definitely it has connectors, but for PG or any other middleware, it doesn't have any connectors available. And you're not you can't code, I believe.
One possible way is use ETL. Connect ETL with S3 and connect ETL with Tableau CRM.
Yeah, this is something you would do anyway. You wouldn't connect, like you say, you wouldn't connect Tableau CRM directly to your data warehouse, for example. It would always go through the ETL.
But ETL has its own problems, right? I mean, when you use the ETL, you cannot upload more than 10 MB file at a given moment. You have many problems. And when you're dealing with such a large volumes, which is expected out of Tableau CRM, are you going to suggest it? Because if you use the ETL will always use bulk APIs. And then in bulk APIs.
I'm not an ETL expert. Maybe somebody else in the group can answer this.
I mean, the only way to insert data into Tableau CRM is through bulk APIs. The data sets are not available directly to you.
So you can upload the data in the data set directly. There is API available in Tableau CRM.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, there is. They have a set of APIs you can use.
Okay, I mean, I'm not sure about it because the only way I figured out in the documentation was they said use bulk API to upload it. And then there is a limit of 10 MB on each file which you're uploading it. So you have to, let's say you want to upload a huge volumes, you have to chunk it into 10 MB files.
Which shouldn't be a problem for an ETL tool.
I think that is the limit on Salesforce side. Tableau CRM provides you the separate API.
Yeah, it sounds to me that this documentation was describing connecting Salesforce data to Tableau CRM. If you are connecting different data sources, the bulk API wouldn't play there, I think. It would be a different set of APIs, right? But for Tableau.
Yeah. I mean, I will put a link in the chat to the Tableau CRM REST API documentation, and there you can, take a look. But I know, I'm not sure which page I was on when I checked it before, but I know that there is an API where you can create data sets actually directly.
No, but I mean, REST APIs are never meant for bulk loads, right? I mean, if it's bulk APIs, but yeah, please share the link with me.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Johann. That was really useful.
Thanks a lot for taking the time, and wish you all the best in this group. I'm sure. I think this is the best CTA group right now in the world, or?
It's gonna be.
It's the most advanced one, I'm pretty sure, especially with Melissa having here. Then, and come on, you're basically a CTA. I felt kind of stupid dropping by because you know so much more than I do.
No, this is actually good for me because I haven't really focused a ton on reporting. I'm one of those developers that has not really done a lot of reporting.
I found your weak spot.
Yeah.
So all of you know for future mocks with Melissa, you know what to focus on.
Yeah.
Okay, then have a good evening and have fun. See you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
If anyone has anything else, we have some more time.
I have an entry level question on reporting.
Sure.
How do I decide when do I need a custom report type? I know that an object always comes with some report types, and then the first two lookups also give you default report types. Is that correct? Okay, no answer. I guess I need to do some research.
So you're asking when the custom report types need to be created?
Right. There are many report types already there. We on a standard object, and also we create a custom object. But then I do not know the rules when to determine when can I find an existing one. When do I have to go to create it?
I think one example I could think of is when you have parent-child relationship, right? For example, if you want to report on work orders with service appointments, then it's not available out of the box report types. So you have to go create a custom report type and add parent object as work order and child object as service appointment.
Okay. Thanks.
I have one unrelated question. I'm not related to reporting, but just curious on the identity and access management side. So let's say if a company has an IAM system which is connected to AD store, Windows AD store. That IAM is homegrown inbuilt solution. And now we want to connect that with Salesforce for user provisioning. How does that work? I mean, this IAM homegrown tool does not have capability like Azure AD or other tools where there's inbuilt connectors for user provisioning, right? So what are the options we have here at the enterprise level? I mean, we can go with Okta or Ping as IDP again as intermediate tool here, but that we're only focusing on Salesforce solution. If you put Okta, it has to be enterprise wide, right? Just wondering, like, you know, if want to know your thoughts on that. Did my question make sense?
Missed some of it. So there's an existing IDP. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have the existing IDP, which is homegrown.
Okay.
And it is connected to AD store, Windows AD store. But now we want to enable user provisioning using this IDP. And obviously it's homegrown. We don't have inbuilt capabilities, or, you know, like Windows Azure AD or some other tools like Okta, where they give user provisioning and deprovisioning capabilities, right? So how do we need to custom build that now? Or if so, then do we have APIs that allows user provisioning in Salesforce? And just
Oh, okay. So yeah, you just go there and create a user, right? So if we can assume the IDP support SAML 2.0, then we can use it to set up single sign-on. As for user provisioning, there are two aspects of this. User provisioning, the provisioning part itself, can be done in a JIT handler, which is an Apex class you set up to the single sign-on setting, on the single sign-on setting. So that's provisioning. But deprovisioning is something usually you have to take care of also. So how do we do that? So in practice, we run a report to look at who have not logged in for 3 months and notify them. If they still do not log in, then we do our ETL job. we do the loader to deactivate those users. Now, if this ever appear in the CTI in a review board, of course, JIT handler is still good, but this deprovisioning will be an ETL. You can just make you can make it two things. One is notification. You can send out notification using a scheduled flow, for example. And then if they still ignore you, and then you can deactivate the user using an ETL job. How do we know whether someone have logged in or not for the past 3 months? Let's say that's going to be a report. The report. That's going to be a report on user object, right? I did not do that myself, frankly, but they create a report to find out what was the last time people logged.
But the challenge with that would be, you need to, let's say if it's not even 3 months, let's say if it's a weekly report or a daily report, it's still not going to be real time, right? If somebody leaves the company today, and if you have to immediately deprovision that user, inactivate the user in Salesforce, then
the answer would be integration. So when they leave the company, then the IDP would know, right? Then you can we assume somehow the IDP can send a message to ESB. ESB deactivate the user using an API. Would that work?
Okay, it's like if I'm hearing that right, it's like any other integration. We're making a call out to Salesforce with the user details to deactivate the user, right? With the
yeah.
So we're hitting the user endpoint at that.
Yeah. But I'm not checked this, so you can use car commands to try to REST API, see whether you can deactivate a user. I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay. So how about using Salesforce Identity Connect in this use case, where the confusion I have with Identity Connect is I know it connects to Windows AD Store, but would it connect to via IDP, or in this case, Salesforce Identity Connect will itself act as an IDP?
I do not want to look at the possibility because I've been in this ecosystem for a while and almost never heard of it. I did hear once that someone is using Identity Connect, but anyway, it's expensive, more than 2 times more expensive than Okta. I just don't. I don't like the possibility of using that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I know Identity Connect does have the capability of user provisioning and deprovisioning. Yeah, so, okay, cool. I think that helps.
But basically, when you already have an IDP, I do not see a point to use to use another IDP.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering, like, if this can be used just for provisioning and deprovisioning, and IDP can be used for authentication.
Yeah. I do not want to mislead you. Now, suppose this is a scenario where a company is using Salesforce at the center of all of its business and operation, right? Would Identity Connect make sense? I think it does, right? So essentially with Identity Connect, Salesforce is serving as the IDP, and all other systems use Salesforce as IDP. It's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, that's one of the confusions I have, because when you put an identity connect in place, it will act as an IDP. So now we have two IDPs, which is not ideal again. Yeah.
Mohit, is that correct? So when we use Identity Connect, now we need to set up single sign-on on other applications. And other applications are going to use Salesforce as the IDP.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that Identity Connect will be only used for user provisioning or also for the federation?
Oh, I'm looking at a scenario where we do where Salesforce is at the center of the ecosystem. So the company is open. The company has other applications, but they are willing to use whatever Salesforce provides for identity. And in that case, it definitely makes sense to use Identity Connect. But when we have Identity Connect, it's only Salesforce which use Identity Connect as a single sign-on server. But as for other applications, they are going to use Salesforce as the identity provider. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So that would be part of the identity chaining or SAML chaining concept. Yeah, wherein for Salesforce, Identity Connect will act as the IDP, and then for other systems, Salesforce will act as the IDP. Yeah, and also for the user provisioning, I was on listen only mode, but just my 2 cents. Salesforce also supports something called SCIM API. So if you have a homegrown IDP, we can probably leverage user APIs, as Charlie you pointed, or also the SCIM APIs for the provisioning and deprovisioning. There are customers who are following that approach.
Oh, sorry, I have to jump. I'm late for a meeting. Bye-bye.
Could you please share that other API links? Is it SCIM APIs?
Yeah, so that's called System for Cross-Domain Identity and Management. It's a common protocol, and Salesforce participates in that. So Salesforce is compliant. I think Okta, Ping, every other enterprise IDP is compliant with that. So if you just Google for that, they're the help docs, or otherwise I'll post the link in the channel here for you guys to review.
Is that what for the user provisioning and deprovisioning with Salesforce?
So Okta actually uses, as far as I know, SOAP API, but Okta for some other systems, Okta also uses SCIM API. But with Salesforce, Okta uses SOAP API, and Identity Connect uses REST API, the standard user API. But it can also use SCIM API if required. Yeah.
SKIM, right? SCIM, is that what it is?
Yeah, SCIM, System for Cross-Domain and Identity Management. So we call it SCIM, SCIM.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. That's all I got. Thank you.